Good evening to you all. So happy that you are here. So today we're going to get into part 2 of the SHEgress Chronicles. All right. If you have not checked out part 1, I'm going to link it below. You definitely need to check that out first. All right. So in this part 2, we're going to be talking about the abundance mindset and lifestyle shifts. Okay. Now, to begin, let's talk about our mindsets. Okay. We have been conditioned from birth, societal conditioned to live a certain type of lifestyle, okay? We have been conditioned to a lifestyle that revolves around capitalism and debt. And it goes so deep that it's very much unconscious to us as we go about our daily activities, right? We don't notice that we're swiping here or swiping there, using credit that is money that we don't have. These things we just do in our daily lives without even thinking twice about it, right? It's almost like it's a belief system. It's almost like a religion that we have around money that we unconsciously follow on a day-to-day basis, okay? Our mindsets around money need to be reprogrammed from a debt mindset to an abundance mindset, okay? In order for you to change the trajectory of your life, you have to break out of the conditioning that you've been taught from birth, okay? And start to shift your habits, shift your mindset around money. You want to shift it around your income, your savings, expenses, investing, all of that. Everything needs to shift, okay? So exactly how do we do that, okay? So let's talk about money itself, okay? Money is a tool. When you think about money, it simply is a tool that can be used to your advantage or your disadvantage, okay? So it's crucially important to educate yourself about money. Number one, okay, education. Unfortunately, if you are from the West, you know that in our school systems, we didn't learn much of anything about money management. That is a major gap that is in our school system. Okay, so we go through college, we go through post-grad without learning much about how to manage money. All the while, we're probably taking out loans to fund all of this education, right? So by the time we graduate, we are now saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and we have no education on, first of all, how to manage that debt, how to pay it off. So we start our careers in debt, okay? So remember, money is a tool. So education is important, okay? So how do we get education if you didn't learn it in school, okay? So you can seek out knowledge, how to budget, how to save, how to invest, how to balance your checkbook, basic accounting, how to pay off debt, all of that through self-education, okay? You can start to read books, you can listen to audiobooks, you can go through podcasts, you can listen to podcasts, you can start to use different apps that can help to manage your finances. You can join different communities that will educate you about how to manage your finances. You can take courses either in person or online. There are many ways for self-education. So it's up to you whether or not you seek out that education. But this is the first important step is education, all right? You want to get familiar with any free tools out there. I would start with the free tools. Of course, you can upgrade yourself to some paid courses or things like that if you would like, but start with the free tools. See if you can learn information from that can help you get your money organized. There's a lot of free bank tools if you're already part of a bank. They have a lot of tools that you can use on a daily basis that helps to track your budgeting, your spending, all of that. There's a lot of free budgeting apps out there, apps that can help you invest, apps that can help you save your spare change. There's a million different apps out there that are free that you can utilize as a tool, all right? So that's the first thing. Money is a tool and education is your best friend, okay? So you need to self-educate and start as early as possible, all right? Another important thing to look at is your friend circle, okay? Your immediate community. Now, it is important when you're trying to change your mindset around money that you surround yourself with people that can provide you with valuable knowledge. They can provide you with tools that would be of use to you. that you can learn from. So you want to surround yourself with people that can elevate you to a different level, okay? You want to look very carefully at that. Be very intentional about who you surround yourself with, because that can either elevate you or it can take you in the other direction. So just pay attention to that. I always like to surround myself with people that I feel have more knowledge than me, have more wisdom. And not only that, we may have expertise in different areas, right? So I may have expertise when it comes to real estate and housing. They may have expertise when it comes to investing in the stock market. You want to have different sets of expertise within your community, so that every time that you're having conversations or you're hanging out or you're just catching up, it is actually a reciprocal relationship. It's a learning process for both parties, and it's beneficial for everyone. So I want you to take a very close look at your community, your circles, and make sure that it is something that is benefiting you and not taking you in the opposite direction. The next thing is material things have been ingrained in sort of societal expectations that we should be buying as many material things as possible, okay? The love of material things will keep you locked in the matrix of capitalism and debt, okay? So things from designer clothing, jewelry, expensive cars, we are bombarded with images, especially on social media, of material things. On music videos, especially when we were younger, growing up, of course, everything is about cars, jewelry, big homes. So you are trained to think one way. And in order to break yourself out of that matrix, you have to learn to train your mind to think differently, okay? So the learning is key, as we went over. And then as you learn, you have to consciously, on a daily basis, think about, okay, what am I doing that is from the old regime, okay? You need to now shift over to your new regime of learning and think, okay, when you go shopping, do I actually need to buy this designer bag? No, you don't need to buy it. Do I need to buy anything in the store? No, you don't need to buy anything. You have to shift your money habits, okay? So we have to shed the materialistic lifestyle as much as possible, all right? The next thing I want to recommend is downsizing your life, okay? Now, you don't have to necessarily downsize to tiny living, which is what I'm doing, although I highly recommend that. But downsizing your life could be something as simple as starting to cut out any excess bills that are not necessary, okay? Expenses should be something that is down to the bare minimum, okay? So if you have a number of subscriptions to watch TV and movies, narrow that down to one subscription or possibly maximum two, okay? You don't need more than that. You need to look at your monthly expenses and try to eliminate as much as possible, okay? So another example is you need to look at your car insurance payments. This is something that I always recommend. I, for many years, was paying at least $50 more for car insurance than I should have been, right? But I didn't, I just thought like, oh, it's a popular company, so I went with them. And I never did any cost comparison with any other companies. So when I called and I found out that not only did I get the same coverage, I was actually going to get better coverage at a separate company for $50 less. So you want to look at your expenses and see if you can get them reduced or eliminated altogether. If you have more than one vehicle, try to get rid of that second vehicle. If you don't necessarily need it, can you make it work on one vehicle? And if you're really serious about moving over to the continent, some of the things that I would consider are moving back home with your parents, which I know is not ideal, or moving in with someone else, like having a roommate, so that you can cut your expenses either in half or eliminate them altogether, okay? If you move back by your parents, you would not be paying, hopefully, any monthly rent or anything. And if you were, it'd be something small. And alternatively, if you have a roommate living with you, that would cut your expenses immediately in half, okay? You want to look at anything that you're paying for on a monthly basis. Another practical example is back in the day, I used to drink coffee pretty much every day, and now I have it probably once every 2 weeks. I don't have it very often, and the coffee here in Africa is really, really good. But in the US, I noticed that because I was having this coffee every morning, I would go to the same shop down the street and I would buy the coffee. That money is adding up. I mean, I was spending lots of money on just coffee every month. So I ended up just buying my own coffee machine and making my own mocha coffee at home. And it saved me so much money going that route. So you want to look at just small things like that to see what you can cut so that you can get rid of these excess expenses that are hitting your pocket monthly. All right. Next, you want to look at boosting your savings if you want to repatriate or relocate back to Africa, all right? Now, savings is important. It's not the most important because you can come over here, even if you have, let's say, $10,000, you could blow through that $10,000 within 2 to 3 months easily, okay? So I'm not focused so much on a dollar amount. What I'm focused on here is just increasing your savings so that when you come over here, I recommend that you have at least 6 months of savings to just hold you over, because when you get here, it's going to take time for you to find a place to live. It may take time for you to get settled. You also have to factor in the fact that you'll be staying in either Airbnbs or bed and breakfast or hotels for the first month or two. So your savings needs to be something that is substantial enough to sustain you for at least 6 months upfront. That is my recommendation, all right? Now, what is more important than savings is creating ways to generate passive income. Now, revenue in general is fantastic. So let's start with the general revenue, okay? Try to find ways of creating revenue streams for yourself online, okay? There's a million ways that you can look into that, so I'm not going to go over those ways right now, but definitely hop onto YouTube. You can Google. There are ways that you can start to make money online. Even if you're already at a full-time job, you can do that on the side. The point is to start generating the side income revenue while you're still working. Now, I recommend if you're working a full-time job, talk to your employer and see if you could work that job fully remotely, okay? If they allow you to still work remotely regardless of whatever location you're in, try to negotiate that. And I would even say, even if they say, no, we can't allow you to work full-time remotely, ask if you can work part-time remotely, because you want to hang on to whatever income source you currently have before you just walk away and give that up, okay? So if you feel comfortable staying at your job, see if you can either stay there full-time or even part-time as long as it's remotely, okay? So you can move around and not be in that particular location. So I would explore that first, the same time you're exploring generating other forms of revenue online. Now, passive income streams are very important, okay? So passive income is when you're not actively working at a job, okay? So you want to see how can you create passive income? What are some ways that you can start generating that also on the side, okay? Because passive income is really the ideal scenario, okay? Especially when you're moving over to Africa. If money is being generated for you without you having to physically work for it, that is what you want. So passive income streams are the key, and you definitely want to get those in line before you pack up all your belongings and you move over to Africa, all right? So check out passive income, research that well, start creating income streams that are passive, and even if they aren't passive, if it's just revenue online, that's still okay. So generating revenue online, passive income, and if you're working a job, seeing if you can stay at the job, if you're happy, of course, and see if you could still work it full-time or part-time remotely, okay? Now, The next thing I would say is you want to start to sell and get rid of items, either selling or donating, okay? I had a 1-bedroom apartment in the US, and I cleared out my entire living room and dining room probably 5 months before I actually left, okay? And you might ask yourself, well, why? Why did you get rid of, I donated my couch, I donated my dining room set, which was a large table with 6 chairs. Everything was donated. I cleared out, it was a vacant space, okay? And the reason is because I wanted to start to get rid of things early. So by the time I got to getting ready to go, I literally just had to clear out my closet, get rid of my bed, and just a few small items, okay? And not only that, seeing the vacant living room and dining room every day was more motivation for me to say, okay, what am I still doing here? You want to make yourself a bit uncomfortable, right? If you're too comfortable, then you may be in the US for a while. So I had to physically make myself uncomfortable so that my whole living situation was only in my bedroom because everything else was now cleared out. So in my bedroom, I had my bed, I had a small desk and all of my clothes and everything, and that was it. So by the time it was 5 months later and I was leaving, it was not too much of a hassle for me to just get rid of those final items. For me personally, I donated everything. The only thing that I sold was my vehicle, but everything else I donated. And there are a lot of companies that will either come to your place and pick up your items, or if there's something like clothes, you can either put them in bags and you can take them to a donation site and you can give them away there. So you could research all those items, but I think the point is you want to start to get rid of things, okay? So that you are working your way on a day-to-day basis towards your exit, okay? The egress out, okay? So I would recommend starting early to motivate yourself. Every time you see the vacant area, you're like, okay, I need to sort of get this in motion and keep the ball rolling, right? The next thing that I want to say is you want to adjust your expectations mentally, okay? Life on the continent in Africa is completely different from how it is in the US, all right? So you want to educate yourself by doing research on the particular countries that you're going to, which is what I discussed in my last video. And the reason why you want to do research is because you want to educate yourself on the culture. What is the pace of life there? What can you expect when you get there? In general, life moves at a slower pace on the continent than what you are used to in the West, okay? Which for me is a positive thing. Some people view it as a negative thing, but you need to prepare your mind for a slower pace, okay? So as I've talked about in some of my previous videos, you know, going to, let's say, open up a bank account, that may take you several hours to a whole day to get that done. Versus in the US, that may take you 20 to 30 minutes tops, right? So you have to prepare your mind to a slower pace of life, which in my opinion is a positive thing because it's that fast-paced lifestyle is what is keeping us very stressed out. We're like a hamster on a wheel. We just keep going round and round and round, and we're just doing things blindly in the matrix, right? So you have to take things slower, adjust your mind to a slower pace of life, all right? Research the culture, the cultural norms, be respectful of the cultural differences, okay? You will come here and notice that there are a lot of things that are different, and these are things that are quite normal here on the continent that are very abnormal to you, but you have to realize that there is a difference in cultures, and there's no problem with that, right? You have to learn to respect that. You have to learn to adjust to that, acclimate slowly, so that you are coming here with an open mind and you're coming to learn and not coming to judge and say things that, you know, would be perceived as negative, right? So you want to make those mental adjustments before you pack up everything and you move over to the continent, all right? So that when you get here, things will be much easier for yourself, all right? So I didn't want to make this video too long, but those are some of the things that I would definitely recommend you get started with early, especially generating the online income, passive income. That is something you want to get started with right away, okay? But as you start to make these adjustments, every day that you wake up, you have to look at your habits, what you're doing, how you're spending your money, and start to adjust them, right? So for example, if in the morning on your way to work, you always go grab a bagel on your way down to work, you may want to just buy bagels and have them at home and just toast your own bagel and take it with you to work, right? That will save you some money. You may want to look into joining like Sam's Club or Costco, where you can make bulk purchases. That would save you lots of money rather than just buying, you know, small 1 or 2 things. You can get a whole set of, let's say, paper towels that could last you for an entire month, rather than getting 2 paper towels that would last you for 3 or 4 days, right? So look into things that can reduce your expenses, that can make your budget much cleaner, much tighter. Get into those budgeting tools so that you are actually tracking what your spending is. You are aware of what's happening so that you can adjust your entire lifestyle to a point that you are, number one, aware, but you're in control of what's happening, and you're adjusting your spending habits so that you, by the time you get over here, have an entirely different mindset around money, and you're starting a new chapter in terms of how you will adjust your living moving forward, all right? So those are the things that I would recommend. I hope that you found this helpful. Please leave a comment below. Let me know if there's anything else you would like to know about this particular topic. And I will see you guys next time in part 3, where we will be discussing actually visiting the countries, okay? Because I do recommend visiting before you pack up everything and you move over, okay? And I'll get into those details, but I do recommend visiting 2 countries on your visit over to the continent. Your primary country and then your backup country, so that you can compare and contrast once you're over here. When you get back home, then you have a little bit more clarity on, you know, which country would be better for you, which one fits your vibe, all of that. But we will get into that in the next video. All right, I will see you guys next time. Talk to you soon. Bye.